Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Stephen Topham at the Bird at your service. We're going to make this as a short podcast because it's called Steam Team to the Rescue. Now, a lot of you know that title quite well, but we're going to acknowledge there is no joke that the last podcast is very long, don't get me wrong, but it made a valid point that a lot of what the Norfolk Railway's doing for you is a load of BS because it's all thrown in your face and it's hurting everybody around you, including my friends and colleagues and connections who are being offended by the Norfolk Railway's actions, consequences, and all of that shebang altogether. But you also have to establish that they're not going to back down. Um, if you try establish that you know the storyline of Wild Northwestern's timeline, which makes you see centuries gone by, protectors on the right, because we are. The steam team has been around since 1845, which we have to take in consideration. But you're not going to be like saying, why is the Norfolk Railway acting like a bunch of prats? Excuse me, when they do their day social events or whatever, you have to realise, well, they are acting like a bunch of prats. Excuse my language. It's the management that's doing all the dirty work around here. You know what I mean? The diesel team is basically going to throw you off of everything, right? Let's just say they screwed up nearly everything, right? There's no chance of hope. Let's take this as an example so you get a better idea. Why is this important, right? You have to establish there's a bigger picture than what their money's worth. But you also have to establish what's wrong in the Western's timeline. It'll help you clear your head for every question you've got on your mind. I'm not there to help you every day to give you all the answers you want on a silver platter. That's not going to be the case. The case is that they're breaking the timeline that was set in stone for me and and so forth. Right? When you think of a timeline, usually a lot of us have secret events, blah blah blah, got to go through it anyway. You have to be realistic. How did right when you watch Thomas the Tank as a franchise, you're seeing my life unfolded in truth, but it's all in the middle because it's the way it's anagrammed, right? You got to accept that. You got to acknowledge that. But then, while the Wester comes along and he tells you the other half, plus my son, my daughter, granddaughter, and then my wife on top, right? You got to establish that's got to connect. Why? I'm trying to give you hope, not the other way round, right? There is a reason why I am acknowledging to you there are things that the management does not fully understand. I know it's harsh for me to swear it off and kick off and mentally put it all in perspective. My ad, but in the end of the day, they put it themselves in a load of problems. Let me just get myself correctly understand. Let me just get this, show this off. Sorry for being blunt, but there you go. But it's a real life event. You can't change what's been unfolding slightly here. But you also have to acknowledge why do we talk about it? Why do we actually establish what this, that, A, B, and C, and D? We know it's a real life event. A lot of people do know that. It's hard for me because I need support, guidance, and help from the Norfolk Railway face to face contact. It's not going to be done over the internet all the time. And I'm trying to put you in a position where you can fully understand this and acknowledge that. And you can't win. Right, let me explain. The diesel team are devious, right? Are liars, bunch of fires, you get what I mean, liars. And they've been very deceitful on you and they can't work it out. And then you got me and the steam team, innocent as pies, because why? We normally are the helpful bunch. Of course we get in sticky situations. Of course we get into a lot of barriers that we can't cross. You have to establish the facts are already in there. You know what I mean? It's like saying to everybody that can't fully understand it right now. Right? There's a lot of people I trust in the real world, in the community around me. Right? There are people that want to help me, but they can't because the management told you not to help me or tell me that I'm not allowed on the premises. Right? That really defeats the object, right? Where you say, no, Steam Team to the rescue is coming our way. Ding, 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 ding. Right? It's not going to be that easy, right? When somebody tries to help you along the road, you understand we all have connections, we all have family, friends, and connections, and so forth. And we have to acknowledge that, you can't change the past. You have to let the future unfold naturally. Right, that's first protocol. The diesel team will allow that. They want to play the hard ball. Let them. Just let it fight. Because we're not fighting, they are. The management can't fully see it properly or unfolding it, see it unfold. Right? They don't know what's unfolding or understanding what's unfolding, blah blah blah, and acknowledge who's who, what who can help who and everybody else. Have you ever seen a scene where the management and the pack controller are always together? The answer is no. The thing is, the management, right, are non-believers. They just don't believe what they see is unfolding in truth, in logic, and all of that. They're not acknowledging that they can say sorry, sir, or acknowledge that to acknowledge we all have personal lives and we have private lives on top of that, and we have to extinguish that. I just spoken to my mother, and she said, "Look, the North Norfolk Railway is not your railway. It's not going to help you because they know what's supposed to unfold. But why are they not helping me? Because you have your hands tied, right? So basically, they're pulling the strings. I am not. Please accept that. I see you in a difficult point. I see you in a different point, right? You have to be realistic on what you see and what you get are two different. When it's unfolding in front of you, is it a laughing matter when it unfolds? No, because you're witnessing the real life event, which is the key element of everything that we stand for. When you look in the mirror and look at today's mirror or whatever, do you actually feel like this young man does need help from us? And we can't just say, "Oh, want you want to help me, but you can't because you've been ordered not to." Right? You said look on the internet. That's what the last person said to me. And acknowledge that. Well, I acknowledge that. I see it come through, right? But I am more concerned that it is personally to get the facts right, you have to watch Wild and the West's timeline, which is very important to see the adult half of my story there and then. It's all there, black and white. It doesn't look. Let me put it in perspective. You see season 4 go through. Now you might just get season 5 if lucky. But if you're not gonna get that stepping stone and realise there's something important, every generation of the hat has to go through this, regardless of left, right, and centre. If people are willing to help me in every shape or form, I said, look, I don't want you to lose your jobs, right? The people, porters, guards, and everybody that works on there, except the management will not see the real unfoldment of it. You will. You've got your eyes and ears to see it through. You've just got to say, look, how many people are not suspects, right? A cop will know what I know what I'm talking about here, but we're not going to go through the law because the law can't is can't be helpful at the moment. You have to be realistic on the terms of look at where it's unfolding to you. It's not easy. I gather that. The management will always play the hardball game. It's what you will call it. The hardball game is not a laughing matter. But but for centuries and centuries, my family has already been there. Why? You have to be realistic to yourself and true to yourself. You can't just go wham bam strawberry jam because we are here. The steam team are here to the rescue, but we can't help you because you, without me, well, they will not go on the platform without me, right? So you're gonna have to make some rule bending. I know there's regulations. I know that's the type of job, but who put those? Right, let me put it in perspective. Right, rules and regulations improved on time, but this is more like saying to you, what do we do with this guy? This guy knows every move we're gonna make. I'm not gonna lie on that, even that. But the fact is, it's all true. It's all logic. It's all respectable and everything else. But then you gotta realize why is it so important? Why is so acknowledgeable? Why you have to be understanding that there's a prime of understanding of getting round this without harming anyone. We're not harming no one. If I don't harm no one, then you know there was a lie in that fucking letter. Excuse my language. As a prime example. That's just okay. It's verbal what we're coming out with. I will never harm a fly unless I self-defense mechanism. What do I do? Right, let me put you in a position where you understand, right? You have a person with a back problem. You have a person with scoliosis. This is the word I'm using is scoliosis. You have a person with cerebral palsy, right? You have a person with epilepsy on top of that. But what I'm trying to establish is a fact, right? You've got three of those, right? What what am I trying to help you with here? It's something that you're not familiarized with. This is the thing you forget. It's like saying to you, you haven't done nothing wrong, nor have I. Why? You gotta start realizing that the management will not let go of you because they put you in a little area where they say, if you stop this guy from going on this platform, you get to keep your job and your wages. That's a bribe, right? So you need to start prioritizing around it. It's not a game. It's a real life event which you need to start realizing. Click, click, click. Right? You have to realize some of the times of the past, the present, and the future will catch up with you. The future hasn't even. It's fully written, it's fully confirmed, and it's been notified. Right? You know that my granddaughter will take over that North Norfolk Railway with her held up high, with no problems, right? There were a lot of confusion and delay with that because I said to you, if you screw me up, then you're screwing her up, right? You don't want to do that because it's like taking on a new life, obviously, because it's my granddaughter. Then you've got my son that will be doing it for 2 years, Richard Topham Hatt, right? Then you've got to acknowledge something needs to happen before it happens, right? You understand there's a big, big commitment. But at the same time, have you realized why I am getting the story all told in truth? What happens if you made a mistake, a little error, just a little error, right? The letter is a little error, right, which can be rectified, right? You know it's a lie. You can't change what is lied to you, right? I will not accept that as a truth. It's not logic and it's not respectful. The thing is, they done that to get rid of me quicker, right? They could have done it a lot better job than that, to be honest, in my position, right? But I thrown a cannonball back at them. I said, my my cannonball is more but it's more higher. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being discriminative. It's higher than that letter combined. Why? When I say a cannonball, I mean when I announced myself in 2021, announced myself who I was, really was, in truth and logic, the anagram solved itself in time. Why? It had a timer. It was like a safeguard to protect me. Right? Now, you have to realise that I'm Stephen Topham Hatt the third. That's who I am and what I am. Right? You have to establish, right? That was a bomb on the Norfolk Road. They can't do nothing with me right now, but they could have a chance to redeem their faults, where they redeem themselves and we correct the problem before we go up there and solve the problem for them. But we don't want to go up there with our guns blazing, so we're going to say, leave them alone, let them figure it out, because I'm not going to throw the answers at you, right? The Steam team and myself are staying away from the premises, but we still have to maintain that the management was out of order at that time in 2019. But I keep getting back to that. But why is it so important? Right, how many cops had false accusations or misleadation times from them and realised they got so much problem under the radar? I said they've been misled by a real life event. What would they believe? A real life event or actual letter that was a falsification? What I was, if I was a cop, which my family can go back to, and I will bloody say it, right? We all knew that the timeline is connected to Murder She Wrote, The Build, Thomas the Tank, and Star Trek, all rolled to one. Why? Four pieces. But why? It's so connected. You don't need to meddle with it, obviously. But then you got me in the process. Why is the fat controller here in real life? Because my family are Hatt blood. Right? Which is I'm allowed to give out because it is true. Right? That's why my family are not going out anywhere. This is why we are privatised because we're Sutherland based. But a lot of people will just say, well, why do you know so much about the railway industry? I said, do you know who in 1845 and so forth, the senior, the first came in 1935 or 1934, and then add on another year, get so many years, and then you end up with with my father, then end up with myself. So then basically you got my grandfather, my father, and myself, and then you're wondering, "Well, this is all true, real life event. Then the EDP lies about my father's activities, which is it's not against the law, but it's covering the track. But when you think about it now and look back and realise you got the third gen Hat that needs to get married, and then the kids follow suit, right? We all knew that. But it's going to take a little while, but it's not a long process because I only got under 20 years and under 8 years to try and pull it off. But while the rest of them already found the answer out, right? I said about Helen and Margaret, right? Margaret is actually my mum's cousin, right? As an example, and Helena is part of another family. But you got to realistically, who is my lady Hat? Because if I'm married to Helena and Margaret, there must be a connection, right? So you're gonna end up thinking, if I know about that connection, I have to let it play out as naturally as I can. Right? Nobody's done nothing wrong. Nobody did no crime. It's just the problem was that no one realised that Thomas the Tank is based on real life until it clicks and it's all connected and everything else. When you look at Norfolk, right, in the south direction, what do you get? the island of Sodor, obviously. But that's not the problem here. This is the people on it, right? People that I care about, family, friends, connection, all of it, and private connections on top. You have to establish they need safeguarding, protection, all of that. But who's the best person to do that? Me, obviously. But that's not the point, Ed. The point is the bad management that's at the Norfolk Railway is basically a non-believer job. Basically, how do you get rid of non-believers? Let it play out until they all drop out, right? Then they will say to the new management, "Don't let this guy on the platform," right? First of all, let's get the platform ones sorted. They need to clear their heads. They've been lied to deceitfully, right? Right, if the management had more sense than the common sense, they would have said, let him go, let him come on the platform, let him come out, let him deal with his time stream, because they don't realise if they're fucking it up or not, but they are. The longer they do it, the harder it is. So when I establish it, breaking it down now for you, right, you have to have a protocol in check, right? People respect me for one thing, but it's not just that, is it? How many of you actually look up to me and then you know I'm a nice person, but you need to get that rectified and get that sorted? Right? I'm 40 years old and I am trying to clear my name to a full high degree. I may be fighting it because the cops, the police, or whatever cannot put the dots together and realise they got a falsification in their bucket, saying like a letter, a falsified letter that was given to me and my mother to include, and then me and Duck and my mother already stated to you that that is a lie 3 times. Then the cop should really look at it and say, right, yeah, it is false. It may be genuinely done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's completely in the wrong, but the letter is false because it's a false accusation. You can't do that unless you've got proof, right? There's a lot of times where a lot of people think at that time in 2021 when I revealed myself, I said to you, Matthew Stephen Manson is an anagram. So it's Stephen Topham Hatt the third. If you don't work out these anagrams, you don't get the answers, and you don't help you don't help the picture, or help the puzzle, or help the timeline that's supposed to go correctly. When it does go correctly, then you are happy, I'm happy, everybody else is happy. Why? I'm trying to help you, guide you, support you, put yourself in a position that you can understand these things. It doesn't it doesn't come all in one day. I guarantee that, right? But you need to understand by me blah 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 swearing it off, kicking it off. Why? I know it's hard to begin with because a lot of people may not understand what is unfolding and what is actually unfolding for a reason. Right? I got a job to do. Right? The management of the Norfolk Railway won't see it that way. They see it as like, right, don't let this guy on the platform. Right? When it comes to that, then you know that they're on the defense. I'm not. I'm trying to be polite, civil, and straightforward. When the people don't realise what is unfolding and what is naturally unfolding and everything else, people are going to start asking questions when they want answers for. And then they will put it all together A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right, go to Z. And then they will put it all together and realise it's real life. We can't tamper. Right? How often my friend from America stated this long ago in the very first video. I said there's more to me than the naked eye. I said there's a lot of things that you don't understand. There's a lot of things that are unfolding in the right way. Nobody got hurt. It's all verbal. Don't get me wrong, and you acknowledge that it has to unfold. You can't stop it from being unfolding. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot about me that makes me angry, but and a little bit cross, obviously. At the same time, you can't have the jokey and and cocky side of me all the time. There's always going to be that serious and stern part of me, but it's part of who I am, why, and all that. Right? There's a thing when I say you're lucky you got the real guy. Yes, it was a lot of questions need to be asked by other people as well, not just the cops and the NHS. The NHS, the NSFT, they all got involved, and I've given them the answers they need, right? But you can't. There are a lot of times where you gotta let this unfold naturally. This is where the problem lies. People say we want to help you further. We want to help you further. I said no. Closed door. Once you know the basics, that's it. When you know what's unfolding, that's it. You see the natural course of history being repeated, but not the way you expect it. Right? I mean, not in the modern years of Sodor, the modern years, because we're not. We're still in the early years. Why is that? People in the North Norfolk area are rushing the timeline. Now imagine if they blow up and they realise, oh shit, he's right, he's right, he's right. I'm gonna say, I warned you, and it would not be a laughing matter, right? So I'm gonna let them rush it right through, and then now I will say, I'm here to pick up the pieces. What you've just done, right? This happened. This is why there's a 30-year gap because no one can't work it out. Why? You have two marriages, and then you've got plus my grandfather on my father's side that got my father into the picture. Then you got me as well, and then bang. Why? Now you're asking that simple question: how does Richard get into the picture? How did Emily Helen Hatt get into the picture? Right, that's still on a question mark zone for everybody else. But you gotta get your head round this and realise it's a real life event we can't tamper with. Right? The cops can't do nothing besides knowing that they're guilty, that they've got a falsified letter in their possession. They could burn it up now because that's false. Right? The North Norfolk Railway could burn theirs up. Why? Because it's false. By having that gives you a black market name on your list. Right? My mother and Duck and myself already know it was false. Why? Because it was all legitimately just to get rid of me. So what do they do when they throw a piece away of the puzzle? Right? They feel like, where is this problem going to go? Right? But it isn't a problem. It's like when you look at the North Norfolk Railway today, or you're going on it, or Wales or Hales next, which is the next one in line, you want to make sure that the North Norfolk Railway ends up realistically getting it in their fixed goal. If I didn't lose all my fleet and my employees at the same time, right, they would help me along the road without no back, with a lot of support and guidance, right? It is hard for why did we get to a point now where you're starting to start to be realistic? Everything from the first video all the way to this video is all true, real life event, and then no one ever bothered to actually to realize what do you do with the real life event when I already know every procedure, the cops' movements, the NHS movements, NSFT movements. Why? Because they were all part of the franchise. So when you think about it, what comes next in the line of duty? Right? So what you need to do now, you got Helen and Margaret, you got my son and my granddaughter in play. But to get them in the picture properly, you need to work out why we need them. Okay, it's the fourth and the fifth gen of the Hatt family. So work it out. You go forward, not back. I'm trying to move forward, but I'm being prevented. It's like being in a box or a jailhouse, which I'm not a criminal. So you've got the steam team to the rescue, but they try to get to you. They try to save the day and say this guy is genuine, this guy is pure-hearted, but he's getting frustrated because he's trying to be honest with us, being kind of caring, all of it. But why? It doesn't matter what I give you or what I put on a plate for you. You're seeing the events unfold naturally, but at the same time, you're watching the fiction side as well of World Northwestern's timeline of season 4 and 5 and the specials plus the modern years. So work it out. I've watched all of those, and what the hell was a pain in the ass at the moment. So you got to work out now. You got to watch the fiction side first before you can intervene with a helping hand. So the management will not watch it. They think it will be a kids program. That's the fuck up part. Excuse my language. And that's what they will do. They will look at it as a kids program. They won't look at it as like a real life event. And that's what screwed them over. Thank you very much.